Why am I so passionate about this? Because I don't want another guy, another young boy, 4 years old, to be put in a dress, told he looks beautiful, and you're going to be fine if you transition, and if the doctor cuts your penis off and fills you with hormones and destroys your life, unless you benefit of having the power and grace of Jesus Christ to come and redeem you so that you can... Is it on now? Very good. Thank you. This is a fantastic conference, and I am so proud to be here. I just can't tell you how excited I am to be here, to be able to talk to you today. I started my journey almost 77 years ago. At 4 years old, I was cross-dressing with my grandmother's assistance. And what is so interesting about it is that we're talking about something, changing genders is something that you can't even do. This whole discussion is about something that is biologically impossible to do. And, you know, when I went through this, started my journey cross-dressing with Grandma in the purple dress, and then I got to where she affirmed me so much and so frequently and so often, I actually enjoyed that affirmation. I think I became addicted to being affirmed. There's something very nurturing and exciting about being affirmed, even though she was affirming me as a girl. She didn't affirm me as a little boy in blue jeans, which is what I really was. But it planted the seed that there was something wrong with me, and I have realized after many years that at the very time you begin to affirm a boy in a dress, what you're really doing is telling him there is something wrong with you as a boy. That's the message. The message is there's something wrong with you, and you live with that. And that dress that she made me, that purple dress that she made me, I got so, and it was a secret. She wouldn't tell my mom and dad what we were doing, so this was a 2.5-year secret until I became so accustomed and so wanting that affirmation, I thought I could get it alone even if I didn't tell Grandma, if I took the dress home and I just wore it at home when nobody knew it. But my parents found that dress and confronted me, and I could never go back to Grandma's house again. Not without my dad or my mom. But what was interesting was that my dad became so outraged by the fact that what Grandma had done, made this dress and affirmed me as a girl, that he decided the way to fix that was kind of like a blacksmith using a hammer on hot iron. He was going to discipline me heavily until I shaped into the heavy, strong boy that he expected me to be. So he used a hardwood floor plank across my butt to discipline me. And he disciplined me a great deal to where I had welts, to the point to where he was disciplining me so much I was screaming as a young boy at 7 years old. And I realized the only way maybe I could get Dad to stop hitting me with that floor plank was if I didn't cry anymore. And so one of those times when he was hitting me, I decided I am not going to cry. And I didn't. I just sucked it all up and just remained silent. It was effective, and he didn't stop. He stopped hitting me with that floor plank because it wasn't getting the response that he wanted. But the real issue came later when his adopted brother, my Uncle Fred, decided because I was wearing a purple dress that I was fair game to be sexually abused, like Aaron. He decided that I was fair game to be sexually abused, and he took my clothes off and took me up in the hills to the point where I became so frightened I ran from the car and hid in the bushes and he had to come looking for me. And I wouldn't come out of the bushes naked, and he ended up throwing my clothes to me. I think he became fearful about what was going to happen to him. And so I got the clothes on, and I went back and told my parents what had happened with Uncle Fred, and they said, "You're a liar. Uncle Fred would never do that." So I realized I couldn't tell somebody really what was happening, that they weren't going to believe me. So I began to internalize all these things. And now, fast forward to where I am today and working with the people that I work with today, because I found out many years later, after going through the surgery at age 42 and identifying as Laura Jensen and living as a female for 8 years, that nobody changes genders, that it's categorically impossible. You can take all the hormones you want, have all the surgery you want, nothing changes, because child abuse, sexual abuse, harms kids. And putting a boy in a dress, let's be honest, let's be real. Putting a boy in a dress and affirming him is child abuse. It's psychological child abuse, it's emotional child abuse, and because of that, it turned out to be sexual child abuse. Because if it wasn't for that purple dress, Dad wouldn't have hit me with a hardwood floor plank, and Uncle Fred wouldn't have sexually molested me. The purple dress, the affirmations, all these things lead to things that happen later in life. They're called consequences. We don't use that word very often, do we? We don't want to face the consequences. But how in the world am I here today, almost 81 years old, talking about something that happened when I was 4? Because there's consequences. And until we drill that into our head, that what we're doing to our children is harming them. There's nothing good about changing genders and giving kids hormones. It's harming them. And I realized in the people that I work with, and I put 30 stories into this book of people that I personally worked with. And today I help people detransition. My website, Sex Change Regret, that my wife and I founded, I get emails every single day. In fact, she knows and will attest to the fact that I'm usually up by 4:30 to 5:30 in the morning starting to answer emails, and I'm doing that typically up till 9 at night every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and we've been doing it for 12 years. They aren't all regretters. Sometimes it's parents, it's uncles, it's therapists, it's others, but there's so many people hurting because of what's happened. And I've always said, I will stop talking when I get the last person saying that they've been harmed by this. People are being destroyed by this procedure. 18-year-old boys going through the surgery contacting me a year later saying that they're Frankenstein monster now. Can you help me detransition? I want my body parts back. Or a teacher just recently transitioned in October and contacted me now and says, I hate my body now. I want my parts back. We get these all the time. The destructive nonsense of telling people they can change genders when they can't. And that's why I wrote this article. I think it's up on the screen. That's just published in the Daily Signal yesterday. The inconvenient truth is you cannot change your gender. You can change your persona. You can change the outside looks of what you are. You can make yourself look like a girl or a boy. But nothing's changed. I challenged my surgeon and the therapist who approved me, Dr. Walker and Dr. Biber, who did the surgery, and I challenged them. I said, if you can actually change me from a male to a female, I want you to do it in court in California. because I want to get my birth certificate back that says I'm a male. I challenged them, and they wrote a document to the court, the Superior Court of California in San Mateo. The doctors who do the surgery and approved it wrote the document. And in that document, they detailed, and the document is available, a part of the document's available at the Daily Signal. They detailed that it is impossible to change a man into a woman. They document it. It's in court documents. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about something they can't do. I'm just flabbergasted that we're still discussing something that they're approving that they can't do. Does that startle anybody? That we're having these discussions, we're still using this terminology that they changed genders? No, they didn't. They changed their sex? No, they didn't. They're a female? No, they're not. These are feminized men and masculinized women. And look at the power, the number of people that we have here telling us this can't be done, and yet they're still doing it. This is so amazing that we have so little power to make the truth a viable, important fact in our society. Don't we scratch our head when people say, a guy says, sure, they're struggling. I'm not arguing the fact that they're struggling, but cutting off body parts and filling them with hormones is not the way to resolve somebody's struggle. We're harming them. And I just keep wondering, when are we going to wake up? How many more people have to write to my website? When I started many years ago helping people, I thought, I'm only going to get 1 or 2 people. Now it's constant. It's constant. And I wonder who's going to take over when the Lord calls me home to answer the emails. Because from what it looks like to me and from what I'm hearing from the people on these panels and these great doctors and the professionals we have, it's not going to end anytime soon, is it? I'm real concerned. I'm real concerned because 2 of the letters I got today were from wives saying, my husband's going to transition. We have 3 children. Another one has been married only 3 years, and he wants to transition. But they want to stay married. They want to stay married. So this thing is not only tearing up kids, but now we're ripping families apart. The more young boys that go through these procedures, they're not going to be fathers. They're not going to be able to, we're not going to have to worry about birth control. They're not going to have a penis to produce a child with. This is something that should not be happening. And standing in front of abortion clinics and fighting for the children today is certainly important. Standing up against the people cutting off genitalia, it's Frankenstein stuff. This is absolute. The child gets abused when he's young sexually like I did, and what do you think the surgery is? It's just an extension of more abuse. My body's disfigured. I was sexually abused. I wept so many times that I couldn't prevent my uncle from sexually abusing me. Sometimes I would cry for hours. Why did this happen? Why am I so passionate about this? Because I don't want another guy, another young boy, 4 years old, to be put in a dress told he looks beautiful, and you're going to be fine if you transition and if the doctor cuts your penis off and fills you with hormones and destroys your life, unless you benefit of having the power and grace of Jesus Christ to come and redeem you so that you can share your story, and hopefully, through the power and grace of Jesus Christ, we can stop this nonsense. Thank you.